So, do you want during Holmes's bout for me early on to go through the litany of her history? So maybe we'll start it off, and at some point you just throw it to me. Okay. Frozen. I'm frozen. Karen, it's a pleasure to be with you again. It's been almost 3 years since we last worked together in Kazan. Women's epee, it's a fascinating discipline. Whereas saber and foil features extremely aggressive tactics, Epee is known for emphasizing patience, precision, and strategic play. That's because there is no right of way. The entire body is valid target, and whoever hits first gets the touch. We're in for some exceptional fencing today.
Olympic team manager. What is well, start of the second period. Cat Holmes, as you said, Jeff, straight out off the on guard line. Apologies for the slight loss in feed there, but we can update you that Cat Holmes has leveled up. And as Jeff Buchanan suggested, she's come out on the front foot in this second period. Placing the quarterfinals up for grabs here at the January NAC.
Am I back on? Well, that's pretty much it. And wow, Chin took a chance there and almost got the one light, but Holmes was able to get the double. There it is. That's what she was waiting for the entire bout. Took her in the 6 and made the riposte. And now Chin is going to have to take some risks, Karen. It was a very tough bout, very back and forth. You might say cat and mouse or cat and chin in this case, but the experienced, decorated fencer, Catherine Cat Holmes, was able to pull out the victory. Okay, so basically, as far as the fencers who got eliminated in American Fencers, Karen? Yeah. So basically, out of the 4 of the top 10 Americans were eliminated in the round of 64. There was some carnage there. Where number 3, Margarito Guzzi Vincente, lost to Kyle Fallon 14-13. And that was a bit of a surprise because Guzzi Vicente won a World Cup in Legnano, Italy back in November. So that was a bit of a shock. Number 4, Catherine Nixon, lost to number 13 ranked Miriam Grady 15-10. Number 8, Hetki Ketkar, lost to Sumin Lee 15-13. Number 9, Francesca Bassa, lost in a really tough draw to number 10, Michaela Joyce 15-13. And in the round of 32, number 10 ranked Joyce lost to Tierna Oxenrider 15-13. So still in the top 16, we still had 5 of the 10 Americans. We have Holmes, number 2, Ansebula, number 5, Hadley Husissian, number 6, Isis Washington, and number 7, Charlene Liu. Wow. Wow. So she's got clearly a reach advantage. Although they look to be about the same height, it seems like Sebula's arm is 2 feet longer. She seems to have a little bit of an advantage there. Isn't that? Yes, it does. But I agree with you. Sebula found another tactic, but she not only found a new tactic, she eliminated a bad tactic, which was retreating too easily on the second and third touches for Husisian. And now, because she's opened up a 3-touch lead, she's going to have quite an advantage here because Husisian's going to have to take chances and open up. And as long as Sebula doesn't go retreating back to her side so easily, she's going to be able to counterattack, and she's been doing it quite effectively. Counterattack again. So right now, this is the way I look at it. Husisian is single-mindedly focused on scoring, and she has to push. And I think Sebula is smart. Try to surprise her early in the attack, like she did on that one. Right now, she's really in the driver's seat.
Yeah, very much so. So got into the lead early, Sebula. Hunted down by Husisian, who changed the tactics, started to go out pushing a little bit further, deeper into the piece. But she leveled up. Since then, Sebula has not conceded as much ground and has not conceded any hits.
It was interesting after that brief 20-second lapse where she allowed herself to get hit twice retreating. She hasn't retreated basically again. And now she can double like that. 2 doubles in a row. It's too easy for her right now, wouldn't you say, Karen?
Yeah, it's at the moment it does feel like that, but it's when does Husisian feel that she has to press a little bit harder? At the moment, that distance is open back up again. She is pressing. She is trying to get Sebula into the warning area, but at the moment she's committing from a bit too far away for me.
And you know something? Husisian has not been able to get Sebula's blade at all. We talked about the pommeleur, or the person using the French grip, being a disadvantage if someone takes their blade. She doesn't give the blade at all. She's playing absence of blade. She's pulling her arm back. She's not.
Yeah, she keeps it nicely tucked up, doesn't she? The elbows right into the body for Sebula. So yeah, it might come as a bit of a surprise when that weapon comes out. Like you say, it feels like she's got a massive reach advantage. Big match up here in the 16 at the January 2024 NAC in San Jose, California. We're watching Anne Sebula and Hadley Husisian duke it out for a place in the quarterfinals. Jeff, there's still what, three months-ish, just a little under 3 months of Olympic qualification to come, and the majority of that happens, of course, on the international circuit. The next event for these two is probably going to be the Doha Grand Prix, if they don't attend the World Cups that happen between now and then. And you talked about those buckets of points that USA fencers are going after. How much does the domestic, the two domestic buckets matter?
They generally will not determine who's going to make a team. Maybe sometimes for the last spot it could. But I will say that in the old days in USA fencing, a lot of fencers did not fill up their international buckets, but things have changed now where people are getting significant points at a lot of the World Cup and Grand Prix. So I would say that the domestic buckets really don't count, as you don't have as big a weight as for most of the spots in the.
Well, as you can see, Hadley Husisian having to press inside a minute of fencing left and 5 hits behind. Massive advantage, so much so that Anne Sebula throws out a very rare attack.
She tried for the counter double there, but didn't get it. Husisian scored the single light.
Oh, another one. And there's still time.
As Yogi Berra used to say, it ain't over till it's over, and that's 2 quick ones in a row, very easily scored by Husisian. So Sebula has to get back into her concentration mode right now. And that time, actually waiting in second, and Sebula came out with a straight thrust, and Husisian was able to get the blade and make the riposte. 3 in a row.
But that is it for Anne Sebula. 3 in a row from Husisian. Made it look a little bit closer than perhaps it was. But Anne Sebula through to the quarterfinals here in San Jose. And she will face Isis Washington in that fight for a place in the top 4 at the January 2024 NAC.
So for me, in this moment, 3-3, tried to score up, and she went completely. Literally within 2 seconds of that, Sebula was able to score 2 touches to lead, and that was a pivotal moment.
Well, the referee's completed his job. There are still a couple of round of 16 matches going on around the field of play. Sophia Jackal up against Rian Zhao, one of the Canadians in. We've also got Tiana Oxenrider against Sarah Gu. Sarah Gu, I should say. Kylie Fallon is up against Jessica Lynn. But through already, Anne Sebula, we've just seen, who'll face Isis Washington. Julia Yin, the 14-year-old Canadian sensation, is through as well, along with Lehigh Machulski and Catherine Holmes. We'll be bringing you a quarter-final matchup. There's a couple of real tasty ones in there. But in the meantime, Jeff, let's just talk about that Olympic qualification. We've got a few more months. The ranking qualifying period ends at the beginning of April. So, like I say, just over 3 months away. Olympic qualification starts by teams, and the top 4 teams in the world at the end of Olympic qualification qualify, along with the top country from each of the 4 zones, as long as those countries are in the top 16 in the world. So at the moment, Korea, Poland, France, and Italy occupy those top 4 places. I'm being very specific about the USA audience here. The USA comfortably hold the Pan American spot. They're on 213 points at the moment, and that's some way ahead of Canada on 154. You've got to expect the USA will maintain that position.
That's true. That's very true. And right now, I would say the home's for sure, and probably the last couple of spots will probably be interesting. And we have 2 Grand Prix left for FA.
Sorry, say that again, Jeff.
We have 2 Grand Prix. We have two Grand Prix left, correct?
We have Doha and Budapest, I believe.
Right. Well, the Budapest one will be the last one, and that's probably where the last couple of spots could be decided.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. The Doha Grand Prix is the next one at the end of the month. Then they'll move on to, I believe it's Barcelona for a World Cup. And then it's that Grand Prix in Budapest. In fact, they can squeeze in one more World Cup. That'll be in Nanjing in China at the end of March. So 4 big opportunities for them. So that's a big chance for the USA to maintain their places. So that's the round of 8 complete for now. We'll be back very shortly for that quarter-final places up in the semi-finals, up for grabs. We'll see you on the other side. Well, we're moments away from the quarterfinals in the women's épée competition at the January 2024 NAC in San Jose, California. And we have 8 fencers left in the competition vying for the first domestic title of the year. I'm Karen Bashir, and joining me is Jeff Bukantz. Jeff, interesting lineup. You said as we came into the 16, we'd lost a few fencers that we expected to go through. We've lost another big name in the round of 16, Ruin Zhao from Canada, who was in fact the number 1 seed coming into the competition, albeit the North American Cup circuit here in San Jose. Three Canadians made it through, but the top one, Zhao, gone out 13-9 to Sophia Jackal. She'll face Catherine Holmes. What do you make of that? It's very generous of you, Jeff, isn't it, allowing the Canadians to come down and play? Yeah, absolutely. Well, also in the lineup in the quarterfinals, we've got Lehigh Machulski, number 21 seed out of AFM in Central California, going up against Sarah Gu from Medio FC and New Jersey. The bottom of the draw sees Anne Cibula, who came through the number 2 seed Hadley Hussisian in the 16. She faces Isis Washington. That's a battle of a couple of rising stars in the USA. And the other quarterfinal is Julia Yin, the 14-year-old Canadian who came through the pools ranked 3rd, scoring, I believe, dropping just 12 points in that pool stage. She goes up against Kylie Fallon from Connecticut. That's got to be an interesting one, hasn't it? The Canadians have produced some amazing youngsters over the past decade or so. Julia Yin, just 14 years old, Jeff.
It's almost impossible. When you think back to when you were 14, when I was 14, you think you could even have dealt with the pressure of being in the top 8 of a national event like this? I know I couldn't.
Yeah, huge result. She did compete at the World Cup in Vancouver in December, about a month ago, and she made the 96. Didn't quite get into the second day of the competition, but that's some promise. And you think about, of course, I'm talking foil here, but Jessica Guo, she was just 14, and she was up in the top 16 in the world.
Amazing. These are athletes who are not even in high school yet. And they're going up against college-age fencers, those who are through college already, some who are in their late 20s, early 30s. It's almost incomprehensible. They can have wherewithal to handle the pressure and even the skill level.
And if you think back, that just 13, Yin competed in a World Cup in Vancouver back in December 2022. She's also competed at the Senior World Cup in Barcelona in February. So she's being bled very carefully into the senior rankings. Was a bronze medalist at the Pan American Cadet Championships in March of 2023 in Bogota, Colombia. So she's certainly got some experience of competing at the top end.
That's interesting because a lot of times you see fencers at the cadet level dominate, and then when they just go up a couple years to the junior level, it's not quite the same for a lot of them. And then sometimes you see the junior fencers who dominate at that level go to the senior level, and they're not dominating at the junior level. Some of them can bust through, some can't. But just to think to a 14-year-old is just defying the odds of being able to succeed at an open level like this.
Yeah, and if you think about the two halves of the draw, uh, you've got to expect Kat Holmes to come through the top. I mean, she wasn't 100% convincing in her 16, but she's certainly missed the banana skin that was Rian Zhao, because those two ended up in the same quarter after the pool stages. But Zhao hasn't made it through. But whoever wins that one will go up against Michalski or Gu, whoever wins that one. So it's in that top half of the draw. There's sort of one dominant fencer, if you like, and three others that could cause a big problem. It's a similar story at the other end. Sebula and Washington is a huge matchup. And they would have wanted to be a little bit further into the competition, but whoever wins that, you've got to say on paper, would be the favorite against Yin or Fallon. So it's an incredibly exciting quarterfinal we've got coming up, and as you can see, we're on back on strip B1 with Catherine Holmes, and she's going to go up against Sophia Jackal for a place in the semi-finals. You got to fancy the experience of Kat Holmes here, haven't you?
No question about that. And she sort of dodged the bullet, I think, in the last bout a little bit, right? It's probably a little closer than she expected. Let's see if she can get off to a quick start here. And I look for her to be on the offense right out of the gate.
Well, we've got Isis Washington there, getting ready for her matchup against Anne Sebula. That's on strip B4. And there's the Canadian in the background. Julia Yin on the left, taking on Kylie Fallon. As the referee's just waiting for the call to start the match, is just tell you that these NACs are huge events. They're run in massive convention centres. And we're underway with Sebula and Washington on strip B4. Looks like this is the one we're going for. This is a titanic battle, isn't it, Jeff?
It is a titanic battle, and you mentioned these huge convention centers. They have over 50 piece, whatever they hold these NACs. It's huge. It's enormous.
As we said, Sebula on the left is a 25-year-old right-handed, world number 28 from New York Athletic Club and New York Fencing Academy. Made the top 16 at the World Championships in Milan in 2023, as well as a top 16 finish at the Cali Grand Prix last year, and the 2019 NCAA champion. Isis Washington, she fences out of the Peter Westbrook Foundation, top fencing club. She spent a bit of time in France, in Bordeaux, living and training there, the 30-year-old, who's the world number 48. And these two have got to be strong contenders for the USA Olympic team, surely.
Yes, and Washington's from New Jersey, from my neck of the woods. I once ran into her at the Parsippany ShopRite. Now look at that. You see Sebula on the attack, which we didn't see much of in her last bout, and a very easy double from Washington. Karam, in Sebula's last bout, we did not see her go over her center of the piece or strip once in the entire bout. And look at this already.
Yeah, now the question is this because Isis Washington has had the spies out and has felt that the best tactic against Sebula is not to press too hard?
Could be. I mean, she's a tough fence. Look how tall and long and lean and lanky, and those arms seem to go forever. Yeah, it's tough fencer to attack. She doesn't give you the blade.
We saw a little bit of a hint there from Isis Washington on the right. She's looking to employ a couple of low-line beats. In particular, it looked like she was going for set team on that last hit.
Yeah. Wow, so it's a battle of doubles. Watch Washington get on guard on the right. She puts her feet together, which the referee shouldn't allow. And the minute they said fence, she's already a meter into the trip. Well, not so much on that one. How about that? A second intention counter 6 with post by Washington. See her feet together? The minute the referee says fence, all she has to do is go on guard. She's stolen a meter. It's very important for the referees to keep a level playing field and not let fencers take that advantage. I don't think anybody's going to be able to score on a straight flesh attack. Look, you see Washington's feet right in 1 meter. It's almost an automatic double if someone just does an attack like that without preparing it a little more.
Very subtle, but there's definitely been a couple of changes here in tactics. At the moment, I have to say, the dominating fencer in terms of the tactics is Washington. She's the one that's dictating the play for me, Jeff.
I agree with that. And early in the first period, I thought it was the other way around when Sebula was pushing Washington way back to her end of the side of the strip. But I would say that, yes, I agree with Washington. She's thrown out a couple of attacks that have been doubled, okay, but she was able to also draw out Sebula's attack, which we don't see that often, and hit her quite easily on a counter 6 or post. I agree with you. Slight advantage tactically for Washington. Score aside, agreed.
Well, a lot of these fencers have a couple of clubs here, but worth mentioning the Peter Westbrook Foundation, Jeff. Incredible setup.
Well, it sure is. I was a member of the Fencers Club going back to the 70s, and I remember the birth of the Westbrook Foundation, and the president of the Fencers Club at the time was Eric Rosenberg, and he helped work with Peter Westbrook to start that program, and that program has been quite successful, and I believe they've put fencers on the Olympic team every year, pretty much every 4 years they put people on the Olympic team.
Yeah, and a real drive to open the sport up in that part of the USA to anybody and everybody, whatever your background.
That's true, and it's helped get people from the inner city into colleges and started in their life. And you can look at the litany of the fencers who have made the top world rankings and everything who have come through that club. It's quite impressive. And I know Westbrook for a long time because we were teammates and clubmates going back to the 70s and 80s. So, yes, congratulations to him for having started it and been very successful.
We're about to get underway for the second period of this matchup between Anne Sebula and Isis Washington. Washington leading 8-7. What can Sebula do here? She'll want to try and draw level as soon as possible. Oh, nice little hit under the wrist there. Washington caught a little bit in no man's land. Let's give you a little update on the other piece. Kylie Fallon is 4-3 up against Julia Yin. And that's on the piece just behind the one we're looking at. Sarah Gu is 3-1 up against Lehigh Wachulski. They're in their first break. And it's 4-3, Catherine Holmes versus Sophia Jackal to round out our other matches. Those other 3 matches, though, are they've all had passivity warnings. In fact, Fallon and Yin are both on P red cards. No sign of passivity here. And in fact, this one's rocking along. 10 apiece is what Sebula will want to get this back to.
Yeah, this has been action from the get-go.
I'm just seeing something slightly different from Sebula here as well. These nice little neat hits around the wrist.
That's 2. That's the first feint to the toe that we've seen, I think, in the whole bout. Let's see if she sets something up off of that.
Washington patient, though.
So that's the second time in this bout that Washington was able to draw out a straight attack in the middle of Sebula and was waiting with a parry post. That one from the inside cart line, the 4 line.
Well, you felt that it was going to be difficult to get that straight flesh. I think there was a meeting of the blades in the middle there. She picked that one off nicely.
I got to give her credit for trying, because she's gotten hit a couple times in that. She's gotten doubled a bunch of times, and she's actually scored, I believe, 2 times on those fleshes with the 1 light. So she went back to the well, and it worked.
And now she can play the doubles as well.
That was actually, that was good tactics by Washington, not good by Sebula, because getting the double there and getting closer to 15 was not a help to her.
Real pressure now on Anne Sebula. Washington's played a blinder here.
That was a great attack.
And another one to finish things off. You could sense that she could sniff the victory there. And she closed it out beautifully. And she's through to the semi-finals here in San Jose.
That was a great performance by Washington. And as you said at the break, that she tactically seemed to have a bit of an advantage. In that second period, it was a huge advantage.
Well, we've still got 3 other matches underway. I wonder how Kat Holmes is getting on, the number 1 seed, up against Sophia Jackal.
So, Karen, Holmes is up 6-4 with 30 seconds to go in the second. Gu is up over Machalski 6-4, halfway through the second. And Yin, the 14-year-old, is up 7-4 over Fallon in the part of the way through the third.
Well, there is Kat Holmes. She's opened up a little bit of a lead. We've had plenty of time in this break. That is Sophia Jackal. Really, with nothing to lose here. Well, the pair of them have received passivity yellow cards. So just one call of passivity so far in the 6 minutes of fencing. But as you can see, Kat Holmes is on a regular yellow card as well. For what we don't know, of course, but it does mean that she can't afford to make any infringements. Otherwise, it will be a point to Sophia Jackal. Start of the third and final period of this quarterfinal matchup here at the January 2024 NAC in San Jose.
So Holmes is the highest ranked fencer in the field, both domestically and in the FIE standings. And she's finding a way to win, but the bouts are all close.
Just waiting for that score to go up for Sophia Jackal. Should be 6-5, but I think the referee just went and had a quick look at the video there just to make sure there were no infringements. Well, Kat Holmes,
Nice,
yeah, attacking from just a bit far away, I thought then.
a little bit too much, yeah. Maybe she's mesmerized by those dark socks.
So Holmes being patient here, jumping in and out of distance, trying to lure Jackal into making a mistake or committing to something. Oh, the score's level. Are we going to see another call of passivity here? We do indeed. The second P red card of the match. So I should correct that. It's the first P red card of the match. They've got one more of those before we'll see P blacks. And based on what you said earlier on, Jeff, that would mean that Kat Holmes progresses.
Yes. The fencer's higher ranked coming into the tournament, not in the tableau from the pool, but coming into the tournament would be the winner.
So even though the scores are level, it's a mini advantage for Kat Holmes here.
Yes, because
Ooh, she's got to be careful of that back line. Both feet over the blue line, and that's a big problem.
it was a double. Holmes is giving up ground a little easier than I think she should. Let's see if she tries to push a little bit or second, but she's just playing a little bit passively right now.
Well, it looks like they're going to settle for a priority minute here. Boy, oh boy, a priority could make a big difference here. If Kat Holmes gets it, she's well, it increases her advantage further. Crucial for Jackal for me to get this priority if she's going to have any chance here.
In my opinion, with or without the priority, Holmes is going to try to get the touch.
Do you think she's going to come straight off the line?
Maybe. But, I had spoken to her about this. I was writing an article for American Fencing Magazine about priority tactics. We talked specifically about this, and that goes hand in hand with what the conclusion of her thesis, whether it's better to go down swinging than to be on the defense. Let's see if she does it.
Priority is with Jackal. Yeah, indeed. Let's see if she does do it. So it's up to Holmes to score here if she's going to go through to the semi-finals. A minute with no hit, and Jackal will progress and take out the #1 seed.
She's setting it up.
Oh, it's a beauty of a hit, though, from Sophia Jackal. She is through to the semi-final. She's taken out Kat Holmes here in a priority minute fight. And Holmes can barely lift her head. She is distraught. She does the necessary, the courtesy of shaking the opponent's hand and the coach of the opponent's hand. But Kat Holmes has gone out, and Sophia Jackal did prove to be the banana skin, and she's through to the semi-finals here in San Jose.
Wow. Talk about an upset. We spoke earlier. You mentioned how epee is the weapon of up quite often, and that was one humdinger of an upset. And you could tell by the reaction of Holmes that Jackal is ranked 54th in the USA point standing, and she just defeated #1. And yeah, that's quite a devastating loss for Holmes, and probably the biggest win ever for Sophia Jackal.
Well, some win in a priority minute for Sophia Jackal. She's through to the semi-finals here in San Jose. Just waiting for the conclusion of the other matches. I'll tell you that Julia Yin has gone through 15-13 over Kylie Fallon, coming from behind there. And she'll face Isis Washington in the bottom half of the draw. And looks like we are picking up Lehigh Machulski on the right-hand side. And Sarah Gu. East versus West here. Machulski from Central California up against Sarah Gu from your neck of the woods, Jeff, New Jersey.
Yes.
East Coast winning the battle at the moment, 8-4. And they're just starting the second period by the looks of things.
So you mentioned my neck of the woods in New Jersey. New Jersey has quite a big fencing foundation. There's about 70 high schools that have fencing teams, and there's about 45 clubs. Now, when I first moved to New Jersey in 1981, there were 4 clubs. Now there's about 45. And I do believe it probably is the second biggest population, maybe after California, in USA fencing membership. And Gu is from the Medeo Fencing Club. And I can tell you, when I referee all these high school meets all over the place, you see a lot of epee fencers have that Medeo patch. It's a very successful club here in New Jersey. Whatever the case, the upper bracket of the semis is quite wide open, and it will be very interesting to see the matchup between Isis Washington against the 14-year-old Julia Yin in the semis.
Yeah, well, this one is for a place in the semis to take on Sophia Jackal, who's taken out Catherine Holmes. The top half of the draw certainly has opened up.
You know, Karen, I was all prepared that if Holmes scored on the last action or the attack, that I was going to say Jackal could run, but she couldn't hunt. But I didn't get that.
You have to save that line for another day, Jeff.
I think so.
So, Sarah Gu leading the way as they go into their final break. See a disappointed Cat Holmes in the background there with the orange T-shirt.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock because it certainly seemed a really good path to get to the semis and even the finals. I mean, her side of the bracket had opened up quite a bit.
Third and final period then of this matchup between Sarah Gu on the left and Lehigh Machulski on the right. Gu with a 5-point lead, target score of 15.
You can see at the lower left of our screen, the coach sitting there with the not a full head of hair is Yakov Danilenko. He's the coach and owner of Medeo, and that club is basically a factory for epee fencers. A little counterattack there. You really have to tip your hat to USA Fencing because they have mastered the ability to run these mammoth NACs, these NACs, North American circuits, at these gigantic convention centers, and they have it down to a T.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the entries for this competition, we're talking about 400 plus competitors today across it was junior women's foil, veterans women's foil, veterans women's sabre, veterans men's foil, junior men's sabre, veterans epee and foil for the men as well today. And tomorrow, we will be bringing you live coverage again, featuring the Division 1 men's epee competition. There are 46 pools at the start of that competition.
Oh my. Amazing. And when I referee at these events, and you look at all these strips all day long, they seem to be filled. It's incredible how they just connect the dots and make everything work. It's certainly a big improvement from the early '80s, my era, when they began. You would have these competitions end at 2 in the morning.
A lot of great people behind the scenes making it work. All the electronics, the scoreboards, the hardware, the pistes, the referees, and all the volunteers making sure everything's running smoothly and safely. Now, of course, our inaugural live coverage, live streamed by fencing.tv. Just adding to the cruise here, as Saragu is just a single point away from a place in the semi-finals and a matchup against a victor of Cat Holmes, Sophia Jackal. And there we have it. It is a victory for Saragu from New Jersey, and she will go into the semi-finals up against Sophia Jackal, also from the East Coast. In the other half of the draw, it's Canada's Julia Yin taking on Isis Washington for a place in the gold medal match. Fantastic stuff. We're down to 4 fences, and coming up very shortly, we will turn our attention to the semi-finals. Well, next up here in San Jose at the January 2024 NAC, we have the semi-finals. And here, psychological resilience is just as important as physical skill. Jeff, we're down to 4. Who do you fancy now?
Well, it's a clear case where Isis Washington, who's sixth ranked in the U.S., has a chance to move up in the rankings right now because she's the highest ranked fencer left. I look at her to be the favorite against the 14-year-old, but that should be an interesting one. And I think in the top half of the bracket, after scoring that mammoth upset, it'll be interesting to see if Sophia Nickel can continue against Sarah Gu.
Yeah, it's often the case, isn't it, when you have a big win, that it's difficult to get back up, isn't it, for Sophia Jackal, having taken out Kat Holmes. She'll be riding high. So the coach's job really important in the break between the quarters and these semi-finals.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And certainly you're on this incredible high. You scored a victory that you didn't think you were going to score. It's probably definitely the greatest victory in the biggest stage of your career. And it's not it's hard. I've seen often in U.S. Open tennis a crazy upset in the first round, and that person inevitably goes out in the second round. Let's see if she can continue the magical score that she's on.
Yeah, Sarah Gu, opponent, had a slightly easier run, a 15-7 win over Lehigh Machulski in her quarterfinal. Other half of the draw, though, as you say, the teenage sensation from Canada, Julia Yin, just 14 years old. She came from behind against Kylie Fallon to win 15-13, goes up against Isis Washington, who had a bit of a battle herself against another giant of women's epee in the USA, and Sibula, but came through 14-11 on time. I don't think that's going to be an easy ride.
No, I don't think so either. Gu is fourth in this table today. So she is the favorite going into this bout.
Well, we are down to just 4 fencers, and the semi-finals will happen at the same time. So we will have just one fight will feature. It looks like it is going to be this one on Strip B2, Washington versus Yin. Great to see how the 14-year-old stands up against someone more than twice her age in Isis Washington, who, as Jeff said, is now the favorite for the title. But as we always say in epee, and as we've said a couple of times already today, it's not entirely predictable, is it, this weapon?
It definitely isn't. And I remember Paul Soder, the national coach a number of years ago, he used to say it's just big people fencing with sticks. Anything can happen. It was a funny way. Yes, you see more upsets than any foil or saber, no question about it.
We talked about Olympic qualification. 3 Canadians making it into the top 16 here. They're a bit of a way behind the USA in terms of the team qualification for Paris 2024. But things seem to be very much on the up for Canadian fencing, in my mind.
Yeah, they've been doing great. Women's foil team has been doing quite well the last number of years as well.
Can qualify through individual ranking as an individual epee if your team hasn't qualified. There's just the one spot for the Pan American zone, currently held by Natalie Mulhausen, who's competing for Brazil at the moment. But Rien Zhao from Canada is in striking distance of Mulhausen, but she will be a bit disappointed with her result here today.
Yeah. Actually, what I hadn't seen Yin before, and I was expecting a 14-year-old to be a little bit smaller in stature. She's like a full-grown adult right now. She's probably about 5'9" or 10.
Well, we're ready to get underway here. Julia Yin from Canada on the right, taking on Isis Washington from the USA for a place in the gold medal match here in San Jose.
But we're going to get yellow cards right about now.
Yeah, long distance between the two fences. If we go a minute without a hit, we'll see the passivity yellow cards coming out.
So Yin was seeded number 3 at the coming into the tournament. Now that's after the pools, actually. Let me see if I can get the original seeding. Karam, have you seen any bouts end on a P black?
I have seen a couple. Yeah. I'm trying to scour through my sketchy memory to think of one in an individual competition, but certainly have seen team matches end on P blacks. Looks to me like we've got a bit of an injury here for Yin.
Maybe we could see if we can switch over to the other bout.
Front foot, by the looks of things. She's just looking a little bit of discomfort. And I'm guessing now that the chairs have come out that referees called for the 5-minute medical break. Is it cramp?
That looks like a cramp, the way she's going on the quadricep muscle there. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, interesting that she's taken that shoe off, though. I wonder if it's a combination of things, cramp and perhaps a little bit of an issue with the Achilles, which she seems to be holding on to.
Well, if we're not going to switch over to the other bout, we'll stay like this, and we have a little injury break here. I guess now's the time to talk about the birth of the combativity, passivity, how it all happened.
Why not?
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, so in 2001, I think it was 2002, in the World Championship in men's épée, the final was between Estonia, which had one fencer in the top 16, Kaido Kaburma. 2 others, Lot and Voigt, were not, but they still made the top 2, against the super strong Hungarian team, which had 3 fencers in the top. So what had happened there is that the Estonians were employing a tactic, which was something seen before, where they were going to let Lot and Voigt not try to score any touches, just open up the distance, and try to see if Kaburma, their top fencer, could win it by himself. So what would happen is when Lloyd would get on guard, he would basically retreat 2 or 3 steps and drop his feet down into a passive position. Okay, saying, I'm fencing. Now, usually the Hungarians just say, okay, well, I'm going to come after you and hit you. But the Hungarians chose not to do that. They had a slight lead. The Hungarians retreated as well. Now you had 2 fences standing 5-10 meters apart, standing there with their arms down with the blade on the. So it seems like a sort of like a very funny thing, but it really wasn't funny because in that quadrennial, fencing was a public sport in the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and at risk of being removed from the Olympics. It was an Olympic sport. So on this night, I was at the Men's World Championship in Team Epee in a sold-out or packed arena, and it was live on Eurosport, which is the ESPN of Europe. We had a situation where the president of the FIE, Rene Robb, had invited the president of the International Olympic Committee at the time, Jacques Rogan, to come and watch the fencing to basically show what an exciting sport fencing is and why it has to remain in the Olympics. And it was the perfect storm of everything bad that could happen because now you had two fencers just making a mock situation. They weren't doing anything wrong within the rules to do that. So I happened to have been on the FIE Rules Commission at the time, and basically the FIE said, listen, what happened was a debacle, a disaster, and it can never happen again. You guys figure out a rule. And hence, at the time it was called passivity and then non-compactivity, unwillingness to fence. It had many different changes over the years. And I think what they did now is probably the best iteration of this rule. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how it's changed over the years. In fact, there was the latest change was in January last year. They're just tinkering with it, but I think it certainly worked. I think you see more of it used tactically in team competitions. You might see it at the beginning of individual matches, but once one fencer breaks away, passivity seems to have become a little bit of a thing of the past.
Yeah. It's sort of, in my opinion, it's a little bit unfortunate that it's been woven into the sport that it's now used as a tactic. I just want to see the fence, but these are the cards that have been dealt. And in order to avoid the worst case scenario, which we saw in that match between Estonia and Hungary, okay, so there's going to be some fallout. Nothing is perfect. Sabre became electrified, which was the best thing that ever happened to Sabre, but he's still imperfect because if you hit someone 1 inch below the lame on the leg, it doesn't go on, and you're going into a counterattack that really had no right to score. So yes, it's the best situation you can make after that debacle.
Well, there you go. The history dating back to the 1600s from Jeff Buchan's. Well, we're getting a bit of a better view now of what might be going on here. Looks like Julia Yin. I think you called it right. She's suffering from a bit of cramp, lower quadricep by the looks of things, but she's getting her shoes back on now. So she's going to come back to the piste. Cramp is something that is, well, you're not going to resolve it in a 5-minute injury break.
No. And, there was a time when Cramp did not qualify for an injury break. And then the reason we brought back in some more history here was at the Cadet World Championships one year, a young fencer had a horrible body. It was all cramped up on the strip, and they wouldn't allow an injury timeout. And he had to try to keep fencing, and it was just an embarrassment. He felt bad for the kid. And to Rene Rock, again, the then president of the FIA, the late Rene Rock, he basically said, whether it's right or it's wrong, you can't ever have that happen again, and let's put the kid back into where it's a timeout. And that's why I came back into the sport, timeout.
Well, a maximum of 5 minutes now. That's been reduced from what used to be 10 minutes for an injury break. And I think that the medical commission had a long debate about that one before deciding that, well, if your injury is so severe that you can't come back onto the piste after 5 minutes, you really shouldn't be fencing. And it does certainly speed things up. We've got to think about the welfare of the athletes, of course, but also we're here for entertainment as well. So it has sped things up.
I have two different points of view. Some medical people said that it's an actual injury. Others said that it's based on the fencer's conditioning. And if one fencer is in good condition or replace the electrolytes or hydrate it, and another fencer. Why should the fencer who was not in good shape and cramped get the benefit of a timeout? So there were definitely two schools of thought on.
All right, here we go. Julia Yin back on her feet. Let's see how. Well, time runs out, and Yin suffering from that cramp. She looks in an awful lot of pain. I'm now wondering whether that is cramp. That looks like an injury that may be something to do with a tendon. Lateral ACL, perhaps, with a 5-0 lead for Isis Washington.
It's weird how it happened because both fencers did absolutely nothing for the first minute of the first period, which led to the yellow, and it seemed like it just hit her right at the 1 minute, the 1 minute mark. And
At what point do you? I mean, it's very difficult, especially for someone so young, 14 years old. But you know, she's got a whole career ahead of her, Julia Yin. Should she be thinking about protecting that injury and withdrawing?
I think her coach should be, right? The adult in the room should definitely be thinking about it. But if it's just a cramp, you know, obviously continue. Certainly you could see she's very, very gingerly in that front leg.
Yeah, real shame for her. She has got herself on the scoreboard, but she's definitely suffering.
Well, whether she's injured or cramping, it didn't look like it on that action. Beautiful flush. She's moving fine now, it looks like.
Yeah, all of a sudden it just looks like that front knee's moving fine now, doesn't it?
Yeah, she looks totally fine.
And even throwing in a duck.
You used to cramp when you fenced?
I don't ever remember suffering from it badly. I do remember the fenced one year in Malaysia, and it was the humidity was incredible. It was 85% humidity inside the hall we were fencing, and quite a lot of us were having ice packs on our heads in between fights, and you had to strip off out of all of your kit. But we managed it with electrolyte drinks basically. I remember the first day I fenced in Malaysia, drank 15 liters of water during the course of the competition.
Whoa.
And I did not visit the little boys' room until the end of the day. So it was just all coming out in perspiration. But it's amazing how quickly the body changes to those conditions, because by the time we fenced in the team event at that event, we were back down to the sort of standard 8 to 9 liters of water that we were used to drinking.
Well, this is out all of a sudden. 5-0 is now 10-7. Very close. These NACs, back when they first started, 1980, they were grueling affairs because you had flights in the first round. You had 4 rounds of pools. The last 2 counted for seeding into a tableau that you had before with repechage. So these tournaments, that's why the tournaments ended after midnight. And you were there the whole day. It was an endurance contest. Yes, a lot of fencers.
Well, and as well as that, they were doing the scoring on chalkboards, weren't they?
I don't know, maybe an abacus. I remember a NAC when the Michelle, I took second, the best result ever. The match ended with my quadriceps cracked at the same time. I went down like an oak tree. Mike Morris looked down at me, and he goes, "Nice match, Jeff. Nice bout." Yeah, cramping was an issue. So nice attack by Washington.
Well, Yin just looks like she's stiffened up again.
Yeah, she did bring it back to 9-7. There was that one brief moment where it could have gone either way.
So 1 to go for Washington to make the gold medal match here in San Jose. And that will do it. Injury hampered Julia Yin. You can see she's still not quite walking straight. Very upset, understandably. Just 14 years old, but what a remarkable result for her. But Isis Washington, you can only beat what's put in front of you, and that's what she's done. And she's into the gold medal match here as a place in the final, which will be coming up a little bit later on.
Washington has looked really impressive for what we've seen so far, and I would have to say she's going to be the heavy favorite to win the gold.
Well, Washington through to the gold medal match here in San Jose. Who will she face? Sarah Gu or Sophia Jackal?
Well, we can see the bout, Karam, across the way, past the table. Now we're on the right side of the table.
Yeah, and we can see that Gu 10-8 up at the moment. Gu on the left, Jackal on the right. They've also seen a passivity call at some point earlier in the match, but just 30-odd seconds to go in the match. Gu with the upper hand. Jackal managed to close things up against Catherine Holmes in the last round. But Gu eking further ahead.
Dejected body language there on the right by Jackal. Launched that attack from way out of distance and paid the price.
Referee going to have a quick look at the video here. Looked like he'd called halt for the body to body, the core of core.
Yeah.
But the question is, was it one single action from Gu with her hit, or did she allow what's called a period of fencing time pass before she was able to land that action?
It's hard for the referee to discern that because on the video replay, there is no sound when he called halt.
Well, a hit did get given, and a ducking counter for Gu to cross the line. And Sarah Gu, fencing out of Medio FC and New Jersey, is through to the gold medal match, beating Sophia Jackal. Jackal will share the bronze medal with Julia Yin from Canada. Sarah Gu goes into the gold medal match where she'll face Isis Washington. That final coming up in a little over 10 minutes time from now. Well, it's time to set the stage as we prepare for the gold medal bout here in the women's épée competition at the January 2024 NAC in San Jose. This is the moment that the fencers have been training for. Sure that they had a very relaxed and quiet Christmas and New Year as they prepared for this first tournament of 2024. Jeff, we've got the draw was always looking interesting right from the 64, but the way it's opened up is incredible.
And we did see 5 of the top 10 ranked American fencers out before the 16. And definitely the whole bracket opened up, when Cat Holmes was defeated, highly favored #1 ranked fencer, 23 in the world, against the number 54 ranked American Sophia Jekyll. And that opened it up. And I would have to say, goose fencing great, but you have to say Washington is a heavy favorite here.
Yeah, and she's had a little bit of an easier semi-final, that's for sure. I mean, it was a tough quarterfinal against Anne Cibula, but with Yin going down with a front knee injury early on in their fight in the semi-finals, Washington's, if you like, just had a little bit of not a breeze into the final, but certainly an easier semi-final than Gu.
Yeah, and Gu is ranked 28th, and Washington is 6th. So it's not like Gu is like number 100 in the country. She's up there. She's a junior. She's up and coming, and let's see if she can keep this bout close with Washington, who's been on a juggernaut since we started watching her in the 16.
Has she pushed herself into clear favorite to team up with Cat Holmes, do you think, for the USA Olympic team for Paris?
I would say so. I mean, ahead of her going into this was Cibula and Husisian. But this result for Washington is going to definitely move her up in the standings.
Well, I mean, she also had Margherita Guzzi-Vincenti ahead of her and Catherine Nixon, but they fell by the wayside before the 16.
Yes, and as I said earlier, for Guzzi-Vincenti, that was a big surprise because she had just come off winning the World Cup in Lugano, Italy in November. And it's very tough to go from winning the World Cup into the domestic and going out early, relatively early.
Yeah, interesting times. It'll be interesting to see how this result affects the rankings. So just to refresh everybody, Holmes leading the domestic rankings from Cibula, Guzzi-Vincenti, Nixon, Husisian, and Washington. But there's a lot to play for. Still 4 more international tournaments to come, and you fancy most of those fencers being picked for the USA squad to go out there. And of course, they've got to be thinking about settling a team as well, because they are in a good position to qualify by team. And so you've got that consideration of, sometimes the best individually ranked fencers don't necessarily make up the best team.
That's true. And we've seen for years, internationally, some of the top countries, France or Italy, they would bring into the team event, specialists, someone who was great in the team at the expense of one of their top individual players.
Well, getting this far into the competition, at the moment, I suspect that they won't have too much on their minds other than going for gold here. Isis Washington looking very relaxed, very comfortable. Sarah Gu going through her final warm-up preparations. Bit of a height difference between the two as the referee checks the weight and the measure of both fencers. Very smartly dressed referee as well, bow tie and all. underway. So no chance of non-combativity here, Jeff.
No, not at all.
We've definitely seen some variety from Isis Washington over the day, haven't we?
We've seen flesh attacks. We've seen second intention repose. There we saw a counter attack. Yeah, he's got a well-rounded game.
Yeah, we've seen her playing a defensive game as well earlier on. This time pressing a little bit more, but she's controlling the distance. She's keeping it long because she's just ever so slightly taller than her opponent, so she'd be comfortable with a longer distance.
Gu definitely is a shorter fencer. Has to try to get inside one. So Washington scored now, Karam, on 2 counterattacks. We really didn't see a lot of that from her in her earlier bouts, but maybe she has a slight reach advantage here, and she's seeing an opening because that's 2 in a row for her.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She's controlling the distance. And Gu attacking from just a little too far out twice in a row, as you say. And just like that, the first period of the gold medal match is complete. Washington has edged ahead 5-3, but she looks like she's leading the dance.
Yeah, she's definitely controlling the dance. And the Rolling Stones wrote a song, "You Can't Always Get What You Want," but what I really want to fencing is action. And in this bout, we've seen action. Some people like to have a low score in 1-1 or 2-1 period. You know, it's the same in baseball. Some people like where there's no runs. Some people like to see lots of runs. I don't know about you, but when I'm watching fencing, I like to see action, and these fencers have provided it for us here in the finals.
Yeah, they certainly have. And they don't look like they'll be shying out here either. But you've got to think that Gu here has got to change things up. I think she's got to press. She's got to push Washington back, not start launching her attacks in the middle of the piece. Get Washington pinned to the back line before she can then control where she wants to get her attack coming out from.
Yes, certainly. She has to push her to her side, no question. Washington's not going backwards so easily. And Gu's also going to have to get Washington's blade or try to draw her out and make a second intention. Because right now, Washington seems to have things well at hand.
Nice little hit on the inside of the wrist.
Yep. I think Washington took a little unnecessary risk there in the middle of the piece. I don't know, Karen. You think Goo was listening to the broadcast because she's following your advice and pushing Washington?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because she's going to have to press the go button soon. Otherwise, she's going to get called up for non-combativity.
Yeah.
Or passivity.
Or unwillingness to fence. It's had a lot of different names over the years.
Washington sensed that, and she's opened up the lead again to 2 points.
Well, that was a beauty, a spectacular flush by Goo, caught Washington flat-footed. Didn't take the blade, was a surprise tactic, and it worked.
She go for it again. The distance has closed up a bit. Nice.
So Washington, after getting nailed and surprised in that flat out of nowhere, said, I'm not going to let that happen again, and pushed and sort of wasn't ready for that action. Tied. Not for long.
I think that's got to be the way forward for Washington as well. She's got to press her opponent here.
She's going to set up second intention, look for the riposte. We saw that in one of her earlier bouts. Oh, pretty much what happened there.
Yeah, nicely called.
See what happened here? Goo was down the entire bout. She was down 6-4, tied it up. A lot of times the fencers work so hard to tie up the score, and then they take a mental lapse because they feel that they've accomplished the goal. The goal is taking the lead, because if the minute you relax, it goes right back to the other fencer. And look what happens, 8-6.
Still in with a shout here, though, Sarah Goo. Washington has re-established that 2-point lead as they go into the second break, 8-6. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're all guilty of it, or we have been when we were fencing. That you fight your way back from a deficit, and then you get level, and you don't do the same thing. It seems counterintuitive, but it is not an unusual thing for a fencer to do.
There's no question. You feel that you want to get to the top of the hill, which is tying the score, but it's not the key. I've seen it invariably. When I was team captain for USA 2003, 2008, we saw it all the time. That was an incredible comeback, and do this yellow by the score, and then 2 seconds later they're down 2 touchdowns because they have mental lapse. I'm not saying that's what happened here. We've seen it before where someone ties a score and then doesn't take the lead, and that's basically the last chance they have. Bring it back.
Well, 3 more minutes of fencing to come here. Last the action. in the women's épée competition. Washington staying mobile as best she can and maintaining that 2-point lead. But another fresh attack, this time from too far out, and Washington was ready for that.
I love the way Washington started the period on the move, pushing. Don't let her get comfortable to set up her attack. I love Washington's tactics here. Beautiful flush again, like the second time. Doubles are Washington's friend right now.
Yeah, and hitting that double-digit landmark of 10 points can spur you on. That can also put your opponent under a huge amount of pressure, and that's certainly what it looked like there. Sarah Gu has given away 4 or 5 hits on that attack from outside of distance. Yes, the flash has worked 3 times in the match, but 5-3 against is not the scoreline you want. And again, another double.
Double for Gu right now as we approach 15. Post. And what you said is true. Gu seems to be attacking from out of distance without setting it up, and she's a sitting duck either for a double or, in that case, a simple riposte. Nice attack to the leg there. She gets another one. It gets interesting.
Yeah. Minute and 15 on the clock. She doesn't need to put everything out there, but a beautiful, strong action there off the blade from Isis Washington. She was in complete control of that one.
Oh my God, so strong on the blade. It looked like Gu was holding her hand like one of those cartoon characters, but it was like throbbing.
And there it is. Isis Washington has taken the January 2024 NAC in the women's épée competition. It's gold for her in a dominant performance. Yes, Gu was in it at the beginning, but at the second break, the 2-point lead was enough for Washington to go on and take gold here in California. Brilliant stuff.
It was great stuff. Washington was the best country today. It was a day of upsets. 5 of the top 10 Americans didn't make it to the 16. At home's number 1, of course, lost to Cynthia Jekyll, a big upset. But at the end of the day, Isis Washington was able to avoid any of those upsets, and she is the deserving champion today.
Well, fabulous scenes here. It's been a great day of fencing. There's more to come tomorrow. We turn our attention to the men's épée competition, hoping to bring you action from the round of 16 onwards. And a 15-10 win for Isis Washington to take the title here in San Jose. Thanks to all of you for joining us today. I'm Karen Bashir with Jeff Bucant, signing off from an unforgettable day in the world of women's épée at the January NAC live streamed on fencing.tv. Brought to you by Sword Sport.